All right, you see the title, let's not waste any time. If you're a Jets fan, which you probably are, and you like to stay plugged into the team, David Wyatt Upton, he's your man. This guy's an animal with the quality and the quantity of content he puts out there. He writes a paper called The Jet Way. You subscribe to it, it's free. It gets emailed to you whenever there's a new edition, usually in the mornings, Monday through Friday. And you're getting interesting takes. You're getting inside information to an extent. He's a Press Pass member. And you're getting firsthand reporting, authentic journalism, right? You'll be reading about DQ Thomas, for example, and he'll say, hey, I called one of the coaches at his college, and this coach gave me this quote about his coverage skills. That's the kind of stuff you're going to get from the Jet Way. So links in the description, sub up to that in a second. And if you want to just take that away with you and click out of the video now, I won't blame you, because the rest of this is going to be what some might call a little bit of a rant. And I don't have my usual video notes with me, so it might go off the rails. But I think it's important. Now, why David Wyatt Upton? Well, besides just the fact that he's giving you great content, we're lacking some authentic reporting and journalism from the Jets beat. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole thing where I dunk on the Jets beat and they're all trash. I'll go rah-rah. I've done that before. I'm going to try and be more constructive here, because we can't just ignore them completely, right? That's difficult. I can't unfollow every single member of the Jets beat media. If they sign somebody, there's an injury, a trade, whatever, something happens, I want to be one of the first people to know about it. But we can be constructive in how we interpret the information that they give us to stay more informed and more positive as fans. And I think the perfect example was a video I put out a couple days ago where I showed the picture you probably all have seen. I'll throw it up there on the screen again in case you haven't seen it, of Makai Bechten looking really great. It's taken a few weeks ago. And I'm getting replies saying, that picture is either photoshopped, or he's sucking in his belly, or it's really old, or I'm a loser, I'm a cuck for supporting Bechten, he's fat, he's a bust, all this. And yeah, to the people who messaged me with personal insults, obviously that's taken it a bit too far. But just for the general fan who has a negative perception of Makai Bechten and his work ethic, I don't blame them, because that was me 2 years ago. Because 2 short years ago, I didn't have the time to, let alone make YouTube videos, watch YouTube videos, or read great reporting and journalism from a guy like David Wyatt Upton. All I did, I was a busy guy, I just followed the Jets beat on Twitter, and I read their one-liners, and I thought that I was informed. Okay, so with Makai Bechten, we now have reason and evidence that tells us that 2 members of the Jets beat, Rich Shamini and Connor Hughes, aren't giving us authentic, genuine information when it comes to that specific player. Okay, Exhibit A. When Makai Bechten it was announced that he was going to miss the voluntary OTAs because his first child was due any day, Connor Hughes hopped on Twitter and he said, quote, "There is no reason for Makai Bechten not to be here," unquote. That's not true. That's not true, and he knows it. Now, the tweet could have been, it would have taken no effort for the tweet to be different. Twitter has enough characters to do it. The tweet could have been, quote, "We congratulate Makai Bechten on the upcoming birth of his first child. However, I think it would be good for him and his teammates for him to show up to some of the voluntary OTAs." Tweet. Boom. Now, I still disagree with the take. I'm still picking, your first child over voluntary work any day of the week, but at least that's authentic information. It's giving you the whole picture, and it's something we can have a debate about. But Connor Hughes chose not to do that. He chose to leave that tweet up there, let it ride, even as he was getting eviscerated in the replies. Okay, then we flash forward. Exhibit B. Once Makai is there at mandatories, one of the first questions out of Rich Samini's mouth is, was it any other reasons you didn't come to voluntaries, or was it, that baby thing or whatever? And Makai's response is, yeah, it was my kid. And bro, you know that. Because Rich does know that. He knows that. So why is he asking that question? Well, now we have an example of 2 men where we know, at least when it comes to makai bechten, we have to view their information through a certain lens. It's going to come through kind of a negative lens for whatever reason with makai bechten. Now, how does that get us to 400 pounds? The big debate. I have a pretty damn good idea. I really do. Now, Connor and Rich, this is where it's mainly coming from, because guess what? I talked to DJ Bienemy on my show. He talked about makai bechten. He didn't say 400 pounds. He didn't say the coaches were frustrated with him. He said he's not quite where they want him to be. He should be able to be there by training camp. For what that's worth. But now focusing on the other two men, Connor says he has two guys inside the Jets building who told him this 400 pounds thing. Now, I don't think he's completely lying. I'm sure he talked to some people in the building about Makai's conditioning and weight. I can pretty much guarantee you it wasn't JD, Salah, or LaFleur. All right. But okay, sure. He talked to somebody. And maybe that person said, yeah, he's at like whatever, 375, not quite where we want him to be yet. And then Connor Hughes gets to take that and put it through the Hughes negativity tint on makai. And what does that sound like? He turns that into he's pushing 400 pounds. And they don't know what to do with him. Because what's pushing 400 pounds? That's subjective. If you go up to a random person on the street and you say, hey, is 365, 370 pounds, is that pushing 400 pounds? They might say, yeah. And then Boomer Esiason says pushing 400. Oh, that must mean 395 pounds to me. Boomer Esiason has no idea how much makai bechten weighs. Okay, then all these people are chiming in. And then Dan Graziano says, yeah, I'm hearing the same things. Yeah, he's hearing the same things from the same guy who we know we can't trust. So now there's this perception that all these different reporters are reporting it, but they're just reporting it based off of this one or two guys' information that we know we can't trust. Because when's the last time Dan Graziano was at the Jets facility? Has Dan Graziano ever met makai bechten? I'll take the under on that. So they're not doing what David Wyatt Upton does. They're not making a phone call. They're not getting on a plane. They're not being inconvenienced to actually do their damn job. They're literally just looking at the same tweets you and I are and then getting on ESPN and saying, yeah, that's what I hear too. Like it's middle school. And we're spreading rumors because no one wants to pick up a damn phone and a pen and a pad and do some journalism. So, and then you take it a step further, and then you see, I'm seeing Bleacher Report, one player that could be traded from every team, makai bechten. Is makai bechten being traded or shopped? No. Here's how that works, and I'll tell you because I know. Now, I've never written for any publication as big as Bleacher Report, obviously, but I did write bi-weekly articles for a long time about the Jets for a website that's no longer in business. It wasn't very legit, but what would happen is they'd say, okay, 2 articles a week, and then it would be dead season like now, and I'd email my editor and I'd say, dude, I got nothing to write. And it's not like this where I can just not make a video for a day, no big deal. No, I have to get it out there. So then my editor would respond and say, write an article about who could be traded. And then I say, all right, for every team, I literally wrote an article just like it, a player who could be traded from every team in like 2018. So then I don't know anything about some teams like the Arizona Cardinals. So what do? I Google Arizona Cardinals news, and then I see some player that their beat reporter, legitimate or not, is saying there's some issues with. And then I plug his name in there and I hit submit so I can get my article done and get my check. That's what's happening there. Some guy from Bleacher Report who's probably based out in the West Coast, doesn't know anything about the Jets, types in Jets news and sees Connor Hughes report that he's pushing 400 pounds. And he says, okay, this guy is probably going to get traded. So it's all nothing. It's a big fat nothing burger, starting with information that we can't trust. And that's where the toxicity and the misinformation from the fans comes from. And now we got fans on makai bechten's page, like daily, this 23-year-old, 24-year-old kid. I don't care. I know he's a millionaire. I know he's a celebrity, but he's a young kid. He's trying to raise his first child. And we got people spending their day just badgering him. It's crazy. Life's too short for this. So If you want to be a better informed and happier Jets fan, learn right away which beat writers you can trust more than others, and learn right away who's in their doghouse and which players you kind of have to take with a grain of salt, the things that those specific guys tell you. And then above all else, go ahead and subscribe to David Wyatt Upton. And if you've made it to this part of the video, you're probably one of my subscribers anyway. So just thank you. And we'll talk ball soon.
Hold up.